Hey guys, welcome to, oh, and by the way, happy Halloween to all of you out there, and welcome to a Halloween edition of Movies of the Month. That's why I said movies again, not movie. We'll probably get back into that starting next month, which is tomorrow. But welcome to this Halloween edition of Movies of the Month because I got not one but two I want to talk to you about. One is something that I grew up with as a child, and you can find it nowadays on various online sites like YouTube, Dailymotion, Vimeo, you name it, you can find it. And then the other one I want to talk about is, if I'm going to be honest here, is my actual first real experience with slasher horror. I mean, there were times as a kid I would get a sneak peek of horror here and there, but I wouldn't watch the whole thing. This movie that I'm going to tell you about is one of the films, if not the first film that I saw that applied to that. And I saw it all the way through. So, the first one I want to talk about is a Disney Halloween treat, or known as a Disney Halloween. This was a special that Disney Channel presented back in the early 80s. I think it showed up on NBC several times, as well as ABC several times throughout the 80s and early 90s, but mostly throughout the 80s. But its mainstay home was the Disney Channel, and I loved it. Every year, me and my sisters were, me and my family, I should say, would tune into the Disney Channel and we would watch it. Anytime it came on, we would, and most of the times it would come on in the evening, like I think every other Friday or every other day, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, something like that, or even on the weekends. We would, you know, sit in the living room after dinner or before dinner and or through dinner. Actually, there were times I think we actually got to eat in the living room to watch this, and we would enjoy it because it was a compilation. It was a compilation of a lot of Disney's scariest or relatable Halloween moments and features and clips. You start off with Bald Mountain, the Bald Mountain segment from Fantasia. You end with the Trick or Treat Donald Duck cartoon from the 1950s. Um, you got moments here and there that are Halloween relatable, like the old windmill short that Disney did, that classic windmill short. They even do a focus on villains with the Magic Mirror hosting that segment. It was just a peripheral of fun throughout this entire hour and a half special. And you could watch it, like I said, right now on various online places. I particularly ended up getting it through a torrent, I believe. And what I did with the torrent, basically, of course, is, yeah, it's right here, is I ended up putting it on this disc. And you can see it says Halloween on there. And this is the first of what was my 2017 edition or annual edition of the Holiday Movies Specials DVD set. So I ended up putting it on there, and anytime I watch it on my Ultra, through things like my DVD player or my Ultra Blu-ray player, it is widescreen because I didn't record it off television. Like I said, I got through a torrent, and thus I used the Windows DVD Maker or DVD burner that I have to burn it to DVD along with a few other things that were Halloween related as well. But yeah, this is like I said, this is a special that I highly recommend watching, a holiday compilation movie that a special feature, if you will, that I highly recommend watching at this time of year because it's fun. It shows you basically, what Disney did throughout the 80s and even the 90s, because a Disney Halloween is just one of the first compilation films, made for television films that they would bring out on Disney Channel as well as the national networks that they were associated with. They would, do this for Christmas. I think they did this for Easter. They didn't, they didn't put too much emphasis on like Easter or anything like that. Sometimes holidays like Valentine's Day and even, you know, spring and summer, they would be regulated to basically DTV, which was Disney's interpretation of MTV, music television. They would basically be regulated to that. You know, and those specials would be aired on network television as well as Disney Channel throughout the years, and you can find them as well mostly, with the exception of a few copyrighted situations here and there. You can find them mostly on various online sites. But you know, yeah, Disney Halloween is definitely something that, again, I truly recommend you guys check out for the holiday season with your family. You could find it on various online sites. I'm surprised, as far as I know, I'm surprised that Disney Plus doesn't have it as part of their service, because I think if they have that on there, along with Disney Christmas and DTV and the DTV specials, people will actually want to subscribe more to Disney Plus, because these are nostalgic favorites they grew up with. Um, so yeah, that's the first one I want to recommend, that being a Disney Halloween. Now the other one I want to recommend, again, like I said, is a movie that was my first full-on experience with slasher horror. Now in the 90s, there was a lot of slasher horror films aimed at the teen demographic. You know, the young adult teen demographic. And I was in that demographic when this came out. And I remember renting it one time. I remember renting it, you know, one time from the local video store in Oskaloosa, Kansas, and watching it at home, and I actually enjoyed it. Yeah, did it have some jump scares and everything? Absolutely. And of course, the movie I'm talking about, if you don't only see the picture on the screen, or if you don't already see the picture on the screen, is I Know What You Did Last Summer. I mean, they kept hyping this movie up so much throughout the year, you know, basically proclaiming it as to be the next big slasher slash horror film for the late teen young adult demographic that you had to see. It basically, it would be the next Scream. Unfortunately, it only had like 2 or 3 movies to follow after it. I think it was just one movie that followed after it, actually. So it only had like 2 to 3 movies maybe that followed, or 2 movies that followed, one more so than anything, because the one that followed was called I Still Know What You Did, and that was like several years later. But this one was really good. Like I said, it had some jump scares, there's no doubt about it. But I watched it and I had fun with it. I could not, you know, I mean, I think I only saw it one time, and it was back when I rented it. You know, that I'm mentioning, that I rented it at that time. That was the only time I watched it. But I wanted to see what the hype was. And for a slasher slash horror film, yeah, it had those elements. And like I said, it had the jump scares, but it was also like one of those whodunit mystery like films. It followed basically in the veins of Scream. Like, you didn't know who the Ghostface killer was until the end of each Scream movie. Here, you kind of had that same feeling. So they were kind of taking that trope, you know, borrowing it from Scream and putting it in, and applying it, I should say, to I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And it, again, for, you know, for the jump scares that it has, for the horrific, gruesome death. Well, the deaths weren't so gruesome, but they were horrific. It was one of those films that if you just take that out, it's more of a mystery thriller or suspense mystery thriller than anything else. It just has horror elements, or horrific horror, slasher horror elements thrown within. But I highly recommend checking this one out. If you only want a one time a year kind of, you know, like, you know, edge of your seat, kind of like who done it, you know, kind of jump out of your seat kind of deal at certain moments, this will do it. This movie will do that, or at least this is one of those movies that will do that. So my recommendation, to go alongside, as crazy as it sounds, a Disney Halloween treat, is I Know What You Did Last Summer. Because again, like I said, it was my first real legit journey into watching and exploring slasher horror, especially the kind aimed at the teen demographic, at that teen young adult demographic at that time, which of course I was suited for, seeing as though I was going into my 20s at that moment. Or I was just years away. Yeah, I think I was about a year or two away from going into my 20s. So it was perfect for me, you know. But overall, I highly recommend checking it out. I really do. I know some people have their indifference about it, but I still thought it was good. I mean, it was good enough to where, like I said, spawned a sequel, and I think some other stuff that related to it. So that's basically the movie I highly recommend, alongside, as crazy as it is, a Disney Halloween treat. So really, that's about it, guys. So those are my recommendations for movies of the month for the month of October 2020, especially here on the day of Halloween. I highly recommend them. Check them out, and I will talk to you all later. So until then, stay safe. Have a safe Halloween as best you can, wherever you're going with your kids or with your family. And that's all I can say. Again, my recommendations: a Disney Halloween, and as crazy as it sounds alongside it, I know what you did last summer. So thank you all for watching. Stay safe. God bless. And I am out. Digital copy in some form in case something does happen down the line. And do you think this lady is in the wrong for not understanding, or do you? Oh, but yeah, basically, do you think this lady's in the wrong, or do you think she's in the right? For not understanding, the terms and agreement about what's about the purchase. Do you think she's in the wrong or the right? Let me know down below. Comment if you like, guys. I want to hear your thoughts on this, and I will talk to you later. Have a good day.